Today, Rick and I are going to share some of our favorite images over the last year and just kind of talk about how our photography has evolved a little bit this year. All right, so Rick is here in the studio with me, which is always a ton of fun. You know, we try to get a few things done in amongst all the discussions and geeking out on gear and stuff like that. But this last week we had a set of office hours, our big free photography get-together group meetings, which we're going to have another one on January 9th.
January 9th. 10
a.m. Pacific. You can sign up for that, hudsonhenry.com/office hours. But we had one this last week.
Yeah.
And it was about everybody's best image.
Or favorite image.
Favorite, best, whatever, of 2023. It was like, go through and find your favorite image, share it. And I'm pretty impressed. We were able to get through all of them in an hour, and there was 180 entrants.
Yeah, there were some amazing shots.
And there were just some amazing photos. Actually, I'm gonna link that. You can go to that video by clicking right here. You can also click down in the full description. It was amazing. It was inspirational. It was so fun to see everybody's work. But we were kind of going through our own images as a part of the process, and you know, just like everybody else, it's hard to pick. But
we had a year.
We had quite a year.
Yeah, we had a year.
We had a year, and we had a year where we shot a lot together. And I think both of our photography, we've evolved a little bit this last year.
Well, this year was a year. It was kind of like the small camera year. You were shooting early on with the Q2.
This little guy.
Before the Q3 came out. And now I'm shooting with the Q2. And actually early on when we knew we were going to Cuba, I was like, I miss that old RX1 that I had, the Sony rangefinder.
And you didn't have the, I had the Q2.
Yeah, you had the Q2.
Yep.
And so I was like, I bought one from MPB and took it with me, and it kind of rekindled. I used to shoot with this all the time, and had stopped for a while and ended up selling the camera I had, and I found that I really miss sort of that fixed lens.
Small camera.
Fast
fixed lens. How old is that camera?
This camera is 2016.
Wow.
And as you remember when I was in Cuba, I was like, it acts like 2016.
I know. I looked through the viewfinder and I was like, oh yeah, this is why I didn't like mirrorless back then.
But it's a great camera.
Yeah.
And I know how to use it.
Pop the viewfinder.
Oh yeah. There you go, a little viewfinder. It's a really sweet little camera.
It is.
And 40 megapixels.
Oh no, and it's a magnificent camera.
Yeah, and
Rick did some great work with it.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with prime lenses this last year.
Yeah, me too.
I really, really did. You know, I fell in love with my 800 last year.
Yeah.
But this year, it's been a whole bunch of prime lenses, and then I think the images will reflect it. So let's jump in. Let's look at a few things and just kind of talk through some of it. You know, early in the year, we'll kind of go basically chronologically.
Basically, yeah.
Basically, and I'm going to make sure that we have our image information up here, so you can see. You know, I shot this with this very Q2 in Baja in January of this year, and
That's such a lovely portrait.
I love shooting portraits at 28 millimeters with this 1.7 lens, and I love Stacy in the background of that. You know, with the ocean back there and Pepper. Just the more I shoot with this 28 millimeter lens that's on both the Q2 and the Q3,
it's pretty magical.
I just love it. Here's Pike looking out into the Sea of Cortez with these clouds and just being able to.
Pensive.
Yeah, there's a mood to it, and my amazing, beyond amazing, goofy, fun wife, Stacy, and Pepper getting ready to sweep the beach, apparently.
Yeah.
But now this one, it reminds me too that there's a place for the Z9 and the big zoom lens.
Yeah.
I shot this with the 100 to 400. And getting all that compression and her big and the sea of kites and everybody happening back behind her, or my good friend Jason, who Rick has seen.
Jason's amazing.
Jason's an amazing kite flyer,
Yeah.
board rider, hydrofoiler, and the ability to use these action autofocus modes that we have now to track action and capture those moments at high frame rates. here's some of Rick's sort of just off
This
on
actually is I really go after that minimalist thing, and Susan and I were camping in our trailer during one of our rare periods of not having family or not going off on workshops, and I just was out there this morning. I didn't have any camera with me other than my iPhone, and it was just as I grow older as a photographer, I find I'm more and more drawn to these types of scenes.
minimal. It's beautiful. It just flows. And this is an iPhone photo.
That's an iPhone photo.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong. Whatever camera you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I threw this one in of our good friend Ken in our printing workshop.
Yeah.
Just because I loved, so not all images are the gallery image that's going to ooh and ah the crowd.
Right.
But this is one of my favorite images from last year, just because, we ran our first set of printing workshops last year, and Rick and I have been passionate about printing a long time.
And they were so much fun.
They were.
A small group.
We have people coming back to do them again this year that were there last year. And it was this collaborative, creative lab experience.
And it was so wonderful to see people who had struggled with printing or wanted to print big. I mean, it was just so great because everyone was happy. I mean, they walked away with just amazing printed photos.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
And I learned a bunch too. And this is going off to Charleston. And our good friend Elizabeth making a friend here at Beidler Forest. And once again, I'm out there shooting with the 100 to 400 for the most part in Beidler Forest, but I had the Q2 on my hip.
Yeah.
And that 51.7, I just love working with that. This one's special to me because I really, really enjoy working with the 800 PF. And I said, this year when we go to Charleston, I'm going to do birds in flight at 800.
Yeah.
And I tracked this particular egret carrying this branch all the way from the forest where he found it to his lady building the nest.
Yeah.
And I just, if I go into information, you can see.
Yep.
I love it. I love the ability that we can do that.
It was so much fun shooting.
It really was.
In Charleston at that.
All over.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was at the Magnolia Swamp. Yeah. And then, again, primes. I pulled out my old 105 1.4. And I thought, what better lens to shoot the owls in the woods where they're kind of close, and they were working with these owls at the Center for Birds of Prey. They have a rehabilitation program, and they have some birds who are too injured to reintroduce to the wild, and they were flying some owls for us in the woods, and it's kind of close quarters. And I got my 105 1.4, and having eye detect autofocus, it's just, wow, so much fun. So, just bringing that old F lens back in and doing work with it. This is a little burrowing owl.
Burrowing owl.
In flight. It's just great. I mean,
Adorable.
he was bouncing from, he was so cute. He was bouncing from fence post to fence post. But the ability to do this stuff, Rick?
I started as a street photographer, and I love reflections in windows. And, we went out walking around in Charleston one day, and I just got more and more into just getting into that reflection mirror things going on,
multiple exposure feel.
This was kind of the start of me. You'll see some of the stuff I did in Cuba, but it was like just sort of getting that close up.
It's interesting because you basically have a long tradition of doing multiple exposures using window reflections.
Yeah.
And it isn't a multiple exposure; it's just multiple images. Yeah, and you're really good with that.
And this was at the Birds Prey Center too.
I love this one.
And I struggle with a lot of these birds. They're on tethers. They're on leashes, so even though they're flying.
Yeah.
And this little guy was just freaking adorable.
It's a peregrine falcon.
Yeah. And I just it was like I loved the fact that the grip. The glove is there, and it got his back to us, and
side eye.
Yeah, the side eye was great. So yeah, I really enjoyed that.
This one,
Cuba.
I actually, here we are in Cuba. Cuba was was an amazing, epic adventure.
It was.
And Rick and I were there for a long time.
We were 3 weeks.
We were there for 3 weeks. We were there some on our own, just double checking all the places that we wanted to go, and then we had 2 workshop crews. And this woman, who's the matriarch of this tobacco farming family, she hams it up. She's an amazing, amazing model.
Yes, she is.
She smokes those cigars while her son rolls them for the crowd, and she loves to be photographed. But it's not this image that's my favorite. You know, these are the images everyone takes of her, but we spent some time there, and we were there multiple times, and then to be able to kind of catch who she really is with her granddaughter behind the scenes while no one's photographing her, and to connect, this is the photo I really like.
Yeah, that was a wonderful photo.
Yeah. And then, you know,
riding around in those cars, yes. Ornan.
Ornan. Yeah, you have to. We were told, and Diana made sure we could. Ornan. Why can't you roll your R?
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. It's an amazing car. But the cars in Cuba.
The cars in Cuba, but the people.
And the people.
The people in Cuba were just so wonderful.
They really were.
You know.
I can't wait to get back.
I know. Me too.
Man, this is my little Man Ray, my little Man Ray Cuba mirror shot.
I've got one of those too.
Yeah. And then this one was, I'd taken so many images at faster shutter speeds. You know, we were in one car, we had workshop folks in a couple more cars, and we're cruising down the main, you know, kind of promenade there in Havana, the Malecón. And I thought, well, let's do something a little different. And I slowed it down to a 15th of a second. And this is with the Leica again.
Yeah.
You know, and a 15th of a second, all of a sudden that motion, just everything gets a little bit more interesting, a little bit more feel. So just, you know, experimenting sometimes works. Here we go.
This is one of my favorite images of the year. So we went to see the Buena Vista
Social Club.
Actually, it's the Buena Vista Supper Club.
Supper Club, correct.
Not the Social Club.
Right, but it's the people from.
Right, and it was probably one of the more disappointing things we saw in Cuba. We actually went to see it because we weren't sure whether this is something we want to take the group or not.
And then we didn't.
We didn't. But anyway, we were sitting way in the back of this room, and it was kind of like dinner theater. You know, these people coming and singing. And this was the Grande Dame. She comes out early, and she does a couple of songs, and then she went. And right behind us was a room that was sort of like the green room, although there was this big, huge
plate glass window.
Yeah.
Where she could sit and smoke her cigar and watch how the crew was doing.
Yep. And I had my 85 1.8 on my A7R5. And she was smoking this cigar, and she was looking out at the crowd, you know, and I just kept trying to surreptitiously take some shots of her. And then finally I realized I had to stand up and really get a shot. And I stood up, and I started taking a couple shots, and then she looks at me. And this is the
look.
Yeah, this was the look. And I mean, it was just, I love this photo.
And then Rick showed me the photo, and I said, show it to her.
And so I put it on the back screen, and I hold it up to the window, and she just gives me this little.
She did. It was cool.
And it's wonderful. But
she knows she's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, she is. She's a big deal to me.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful image. I love that one. And then this one.
Yeah.
Well,
and so I love shooting at night. When I was younger, I would shoot in my film days. Even I would shoot at night with, you know, small, you know, actually probably my Nikon FM and my 50 millimeter lens. And getting the RX1 for this trip was just great because it just sort of brought me back to that whole thing. And you know, I shot so much at night in the streets and just loved it. And this shot was just like this serendipity. I saw this guy walking down towards us, and I knew he was going to reach a point where he was going to get bathed in light. And I was like, that's great. I'm just standing there. And then all of a sudden, this cat comes out and just runs across the road. And it was just, it was wonderful.
And your shutter speed is 100th of a second. Look at that, 3200 ISO.
Yeah.
There you go.
And it's just wonderful, you know.
Amazing. I love that image. I really do. Yeah, let's look at that data there. Wow. And then, yeah.
Yep. And we had our good friend Charlie Johnson and his son, Gringo,
AKA Jeremy
who
Johnson.
was so much fun to have around. And he just, the kids in the streets just loved him.
His nickname is Gringo. It's printed on the back of his various athletic tank tops. And everybody in town knew the Gringo and he speaks fluent Spanish.
Fluent Spanish, yeah. So this night, he had this little ball thing that he kept walking down the street.
Yeah.
And he
Papa
would,
Jiju or something like that.
yeah, and he would mesmerize the kids. And I took a whole bunch of shots of this, but I just love the little kid right there, just looking up, going, when's it going to be my turn?
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I had lots of people ask about walking the streets of Havana. Everybody thought it's like dangerous, and it was like, we were out walking at night, during the day when it was super crowded.
It's one of the safest places
I've ever felt.
Ever walked the streets.
Yeah,
it really is.
And this woman was up on a balcony, and this is a tight crop.
I don't know that I've seen this shot before, Rick. I love this one.
But she was watching the whole time. She was watching us as the group, and we had this sort of like little sort of gesture back and forth, and then I held up my camera, and and she was like, sure, and she just gave me this big smile, and it just, that is Cuba to me,
It is.
She just,
How cute she is.
yeah,
Oh, love it.
yep.
And then we
Glacier.
Yeah, Glacier National Park. We had some time there.
Yeah,
Oof,
just a lovely morning on Lake McDonald. It was so much. I didn't shoot much that morning because I was walking around and seeing what everyone else was shooting in the group and stuff like that. But
we all shot the sun stars that came up in that smoky mountain range there.
But I loved right before the sun came up. It was just so calm, and
It's beautiful.
it is beautiful.
Minimal.
Yep. Thanks.
Beautiful. I threw in one of the bear.
The bear.
Yeah.
One of the bears.
One of the bears that we saw. This bear was just in that field with the flowers and seemed a very gentle
Brown bear.
soul, but probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. But we were we were one of the first group to stop. But before you knew it, it was a full-blown bear jam, and we had rangers. But it was a really great scene. This bear walked along, and beautiful opportunity to shoot it for quite a long time. It was nice. Oh, Rick, I love this one. This is when you first. This is you.
Yeah, this is when I first started shooting with the Q2, and we were up in the forest out on the Oregon coast for the workshop. We were going out a couple days early with our buddy Gary Sharlock, and we were socked in with fog up there, and I was just wandering around, and I just saw this shot, and and this one just screamed black and white to me. The color image is lovely, but I just printed this one big for a show in town, and it was so nice to see it there last week when I went out and saw the show.
Nice. I love this one too.
Just out on the, I love being on the coast. We haven't been on the coast in a couple of years, and it was nice to get back out there.
It was.
Another great workshop crew too.
It really was.
Yeah.
Well, we're very, very blessed with the people that come on these trips with us. This is one I took on that Oregon Coast workshop. I just loved the way the clouds laid up after the sunset with the Cedar Head Lighthouse. I've shot this lighthouse a bunch, and I've never had this feel to the image before. It's on the edge of night. It's the time when this lighthouse comes alive and really needs to be helpful, and the sky just set up.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it really worked for me. Oh, there's the crew in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
The album cover.
Yeah.
Look at Larry. Ah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
David Brown.
Yeah.
The
The anchor.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Oh man, what a fun shot. The whole crew.
That's my favorite Old Faithful shot of all time. Is that one.
And we always take people to Old Faithful. They need to go and see it, but then it's over and they're like, oh yeah, I get why your guys aren't so excited about it. It's a neat thing to see. It's not a great photographic.
No, it's not. No. But these guys were just hanging out afterwards, and it was just, all right, get together.
Oh, that was a storm.
Yeah, and this is another Leica shot, and it's actually a handheld pano.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like boom, boom, and that night was nuts.
Do you still have the profiles I put on? Do you use that? Yeah, I just have one that's a grid.
Yeah.
With the level, and it throws everything into manual mode, and you just I use that a lot.
It was just a lovely, you know, it was just a really
Beautiful.
And then you were shooting with the 180 to 600 out of Yellowstone Falls, and I was like, let me borrow that for a second.
Right.
And just this, I've been shooting this tree a number of different ways for years, and I just really like this shot.
I like this shot too.
Yeah.
510 millimeters, and I just love the diagonal of mist cutting through, and you've got some triangles going in here, and I don't know, it really works. That lens is way better image quality than I ever dreamed it was going to have.
Yeah.
I don't love its handling, but it really yields great images. There's so many people are going to be loving that lens. Yeah, no doubt about it.
And then we went to Moab.
I love this shot.
So you know, for years, and you've got a shot in here, we've been shooting at Windows Arch, and we've been down in the bowl as the sun goes, getting the Sun Star and shooting, and
Oh, you mean Double Arch?
Double Arch.
Yep,
Sorry,
yep,
Double
yep,
Arch.
yep.
And this year I was like, I'm going to go up there and see what everything's about up there.
Why are people going up there?
You know, and I thought, maybe, okay, well, I'll get a, you know, as the sun sinks over the horizon, I'll get a star, you know, there. And I get up top, and it's a lot narrower than I thought it really was going to be.
It's a dangerous spot.
Well, you see lots of people up there.
Yeah.
You see kids up there, and I was like, oh.
Kids don't think they're destructible.
Yeah. And so, I was up there. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm here for the duration. So I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and this is an Italian couple that was next to me, and you know they're gorgeous models.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had my camera set up at f/16, I think, because I was waiting for the Sun Star.
Right.
But there was nothing to shoot, and I saw this couple right, you know, here, and I'm like, that is hilarious. He's got his phone looking one way.
Yeah.
She's looking at the other way, and you can see it on her phone.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I just fired off a burst of images. And then I noticed later when I was editing it that the guy actually has a Sun Star in his glasses.
His glasses. He does. He does.
I mean, I wasn't going for it, but it's pretty funny.
It's pretty great.
But
There's your Sun Star shot.
Yep. Yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was. I think I like being down in the bowl. But
it was great.
Yeah.
I'll show you an image of Rick when he was up making that shot.
And that was a morning
that was
out at that was at Windows.
That was at Windows.
Yeah.
Great sunrise.
This tree, the Chet steel tree.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
He found that tree.
Yep.
Beautiful one. Ah, Ray.
And then you know it's like these small cameras and the Q2 just. I mean, it's like they're made for these environmental portraits.
This is the Q2?
Yeah, these are all Q2. The next few were, you know, it's just this one night. The light was beautiful. And it was like Bill,
yeah.
you know.
Peter.
Peter. I mean, it's just, you know.
Bill in the background.
Yeah, it's a wonderful.
Oh, I love this one of Kaz. That's awesome.
You know, and
leaning out of El Jefe.
And that was, I mean, for me, that was the sort of revelation, I think, for this year was just sort of getting back into that close up and, you know.
A fast wide angle prime.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yep. Yeah. No, environmental portraits. I love it. This is my shot of Rick in Double Arch where he shot the Italian couple.
Yeah. They were to my left. You don't see them in here.
You don't see him here, but I posed him there, and I made him pretend to be photographing something, aiming towards the Sun Star I was creating by moving into just the right spot to obscure it, and then stopping down to f/16. And I shot this with my 24 to 120, and it, you know, what was my focal length? 64. That lens does a great job with Sun Stars.
Yes, it does.
So you know, I've shot this so many times with other people. You know, just whatever they happened to be doing, it was really great to be able to kind of direct Rick. And then when I climbed up to be up there with him, I was like, "Whoa, this is not a fun place to stand. It's narrow." And then we had a moonrise.
Fisher Towers.
We had a moonrise at Fisher Towers that we planned.
Yep.
And we planned it, you know, months and even long, when
longer
we first
than that. Yeah,
scheduled the
almost,
workshop. Yeah. And then it was really fun to see it happen just
Yeah, actually, last time we were going to do it, and it clouded over.
It clouded over. We wound up, it was a completely socked in, started raining when the moon was going to rise. But now we got it.
Yeah.
And then a beautiful sunset at Delicate Arch.
Yep.
Beautiful. It was fun.
And then Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah.
Scotland.
This is another pano with the Leica.
Yeah.
Just a 2-shot vertical pano.
Yeah, but look at that.
You
Oh,
know?
it's fabulous.
Neist Point.
Yeah, East Point was wonderful, and look at those clouds.
Yeah.
We really had great light and conditions there.
This
Is one I did. This is a ZF 90 megapixel pixel shift image, and I really do like the way that it came out. It's still loading. I should have probably loaded up 100% previews on this before I brought it. See, it's big.
Yeah.
It's a relatively fast computer, but let's give it a second here.
That's one of my New Year's resolutions for 2024 is to actually do some pixel shift shooting with the Sony.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know why this isn't loading faster. You may just have to trust me in the interest of time. I don't know why. Come on now. What's going on here? It doesn't really want to load a 100% preview of this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to reboot my system. Anyway.
Not right now.
Not right now. There's a lot of resolution in this image, and it's sharp. I showed it actually not long ago. But I will just say, you know, I love this scene. But while I was hiking up the trail, there was a moment with better light.
Yeah.
And I happened to have the Q2 on my side. And this is just handheld alongside the trail at 60 megapixels. I don't know why that's loading so much quicker. Maybe I already had 100% preview. But I mean, you get the idea.
Yeah.
I mean, not setting it up on the tripod, not having it take 32 images, not combining them in camera. The Q2 is quite a little...
60 megapixels.
Or Q3, yeah.
60 megapixels really seems like a magical resolution. I did not think it would be so.
It is.
It really is.
It really is. And then I'll close out some of mine with, you know, we went down to Talisker Bay, which is a beautiful place to be at sunset, and we had a spectacular
sunset.
And I was flying my drone. I was playing around with the drone, and I was taking some drone photos, but I wanted to grab a few quick shots, and I did shoot some sun stars as the sun was setting. And honestly, I have some great ones, both with the Nikon and with the Leica, with sun stars, but I don't know. This is shot with the Leica, handheld, of Rick, bracketed, 3 stops apart, you know, on the meter, 3 stops underexposed, 3 stops overexposed, like, blended, f/16, and I don't know, there's something, I just love the technology that we have in our hands to do this. You know, there's so much contrast in this.
Yeah.
And Rick would be just shadowed if I put this for the light. You would barely be able to pull him out from the background hills. If I exposed for the background hills and Rick, the sky would be white. And even with a great camera with dynamic range like this, the fact that we can pull this off now, handheld, is just, I mean, forget about graduated filters. Let's just say that. I mean, amazing.
And that's me. That's the shot I was taking. One of the shots
Which
at various
is
time.
Wonderful.
And
This is with, again, the Q2.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Bap,
Bracketed.
bap, bap. Yep.
Bap, bap, bap.
Yeah.
Amazing. Beautiful image.
Yep.
And then we'll close with...
Yeah, this actually I think is my favorite image. This and the Cuba, the guy in the street with the cat.
I love both of them.
The trees in Scotland just wowed me, and the colors. And I spent probably 40 minutes shooting these clumps of trees, just trying to find...
Well, as I crashed my drone into them.
Yes.
Which thankfully DJI repaired very affordably and very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah. Wow.
So, and I just, Scotland was a magical place. I mean,
I wasn't sure we were going to get you back from Scotland.
Well, I'm going back.
Well, I mean, Susan.
I'm going back next year.
Yeah,
so.
Susan's here, so that's a good.
Yeah,
Rick darn near went native, both in Cuba and Scotland, actually. But
I have a hard time living in Cuba, but I could see.
Yeah.
I could see Scotland. Scotland was a magical. Actually, both places were magical. You know, as you say, I feel blessed to have gone to two such radically different, but beautiful places with amazing people to share. You know,
it's
and I'm looking forward to the Scotland workshop next year.
Oh,
It's
me
going to
too.
be a blast.
It is for sure, and then Cuba the year after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right, everybody. So that's a bit of our year and some of our favorite images and some of our thought processes and how things are evolving. And all, you know, this is a new time for me with prime lenses. I just love
Yeah.
the primes. I always have a prime with me now. All right. Well, so I hope everybody enjoyed. I hope you're all out there staying creative, staying safe. We got lots of fun stuff in store for this new year. Remember, office hours are going to be
January 9th.
yeah, and we'll be rolling those regularly. So just anytime you want to sign up for them, hudsonhenry.com/office hours. You can go down in this video's description if you want. If you run to my website, you can find them. And we love those gatherings, and we answer questions and talk and have a good time with other photographers. So join them. All right, everybody. See you next week.
Take care.